From farm to your store in days, not weeks. That's 80 Acres Farms. Did you know that most salad travels over 2,000 miles to reach your plate? But not 80 Acres Farms. Their crisp salad greens and herbs are food less traveled. This means it stays fresher for longer in your fridge. My salad lasts all week long. No more food waste. Oh, and did I mention there's no need to wash this produce because 80 Acres Farms uses zero pesticides. Visit 80acresfarms.com to learn more and find their salads and herbs at your local Kroger.
Hey, welcome back. We are here in the southeastern United States, at least I am, in my little corner of the world to yours, no matter where you are at. Still trying to beat the heat. You know, it's funny, here in the middle of August, we had these few days where the humidity just kind of pretty much disappeared. I mean, not like totally, but it was beautiful. It was like, reminds me of that movie Awakenings, where it's like these people came out of their condition just for a little bit and then they went back. It's kind of like that. Got to look that movie up. But here we are, late August, and I have what's called a three-peat for my podcast, TFTC with Bob Niebel. It is a three-peat. The Waymores are back because they keep putting out great albums. And this one is no different, called Greener Pastures, just being released, coinciding with their release. So I'm excited to have them back here. And they have some really wonderful songs on their new release. We really get into it. They actually have been here on the other side of town for me here in the Atlanta Metro. So it's just been fantastic speaking with them. I'm so glad to have them back. And I really do hope that you enjoy our discussion. Oh, there's one thing I wanted to do, and I've been promising a lot of people this. I noticed this in the store. Now, if those who are listening can't see this, is that a little in focus here? This is for the YouTube audience, but to tell people audio wise, this is called a Reese's plant-based cup. Reese's. I just don't understand this, but I'm gonna try this. And I got a pretty open mind. And a plant-based candy, just by Reese's. It's just I haven't seen any ads for this yet. That guy from that Smartless podcast, what's his name? Will Arnett. He's their voice. Guy's got such a great voice. I wish but it's very smoke cured. And my voice is a little smoke cured because I grew up with somebody blowing smoke in my face all the time. Thanks, mother. She's not listening. If I make a clip online, she'll say, "Oh yeah, really nice." Probably doesn't even pay attention to that either. So I can get away with that. But I don't have that smoke cured voice like Will Arnett, who is the Reese's guy here. But plant-based candy. So let's try this. I have a very open mind. You know, you're looking at the guy who gets into grape nuts. And when I eat grape nuts, and this is really gross to most people, but I don't know why I got into this. But I soak my grape nuts for like 20 minutes in vanilla soy milk. And people are like, ew, whatever. Hey, my colonoscopies, they come out really well. I credit the grape nuts. Probably not. Anywho, so I'm opening this plant-based Reese's 2 peanut butter cups. Let's try the first one here. Plant-based. And I put up a photo of this on Facebook of the plant-based package, and some people say, why don't you just drop this in the dirt and see how that works? So here goes. This is it's oat chocolate confection and peanut butter. Well, I love peanut butter. I'm a huge peanut butter freak, but not so much into candy. So this kind of piqued my interest. So let's see. Not bad. I mean, really isn't. It's almost like the regular peanut butter cups. Now it's a little more pricey, and of course, it's these are a little bit smaller. I wouldn't say by that much. This 1.4 ounce package, and I'm just saying these people's names. I got this at Publix. I think it was 229 for this package. So a lot of people would say I'm not getting my money's worth. I'm wondering what that is at Sam's Club. But this is pretty good. I mean, I'm not trying to they're not paying me. I have no sponsors, not yet at least. And I'm no Will Arnett, who has that beautiful smoke-cured voice. He's on that Smartless podcast. Those other guys, Jason Bateman, and I forgot the other guy's name. Sean Hayes. Why would I forget his name? He's the most active actor ever. I shouldn't be forgetting that. But this is pretty good. I like. I shouldn't be doing that into the mic. I have like this condition. It's psychological. I don't like people eating into the mic. That's kind of gross. And I'm going to chase it down with what's called a Zevia root beer. I know Bill Maher gets into the soda, but so does my daughter, who just is having a birthday as I record this. So a great monumental birthday for her. But I got this. She visited me, and she says that she's really into Zevia. So, which is okay. Again, not sponsoring them. Anyway, it's pretty good. It's Reese's peanut butter cups, and they're plant-based. It's not bad. I can't imagine that anything like this is even close to being healthy. I mean, people are probably saying, well, what's the point? I don't know what the point is. To see plant-based. Plant-based. Everything's getting to be plant-based these days, whatever that is. But I got a pretty open mind. I don't know. That's just me. I don't, it's not leaving a bitter aftertaste or anything like that. I think the peanut butter might save it. Maybe that's what it is, but it's a nice treat. I don't know. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, enjoy my talk with the Waymores. They have a new album out just being released called Greener Pastures. Great songs on there. One called Don't Worry that I really, really love. We talk all about that, and such a lovely couple. I love speaking with them. Anyway, enjoy. Early morning for you?
Oh no, we've been up since 7:30.
Early risers.
We're early risers.
Yeah,
we have too much stuff to do.
No matter how hard we try to sleep in, even if the day allows us to sleep in, we just can't.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that happens as the years go on. For some reason, you just become earlier and earlier, just feeling like, hey, we're burning daylight here.
Yeah, it's not my favorite thing in the world, especially when we play till like 3 a.m. and then we're just like up at 7:30 still, or 7. Like, why are you doing this to me?
So like after you perform like that, it's probably tough to just come down off of that, no matter how small or big that stage is or the audience.
Willie's ruining everything.
Sorry, I was trying to turn the volume up.
And he kept turning it off. Sorry.
Yeah, like after you perform, whether you're like in front of thousands or just small,
it takes so long for us to kind of chill out and be able to go to sleep.
Yeah.
So even if you're done at like 2 a.m., you get back to the hotel by 3:30, you're still not going to sleep until way later, because you're still like hopefully you're on a high from the show.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're just real angry about the show. And you can't go to sleep.
So that happens every once in a while where it's like
everybody has bad shows.
Yeah, that comes with the territory, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, so you're out on the West Coast?
Nope, we're on East Coast this morning. We're at home. We played in town in Marietta, Georgia last night. We host a Honky Tonk Tuesday every month at a club called Monkey Barrel. And
okay, I've heard of that.
Great turnout last night. A really fun time. But it's somewhat of an early show. I think we were home by midnight, before midnight.
Yeah, we were home by midnight.
Ish.
Yeah.
Provided, that's about the time like Atlanta traffic pretty much dies down.
Atlanta traffic never dies down. Never.
I came home at like 9:00 last night. I'm like, where's everybody going? This town is crazy.
There's no rhyme or reason. It can be like 2 in the afternoon, 2 in the morning. There's gonna be traffic
all the time. I swear. I've been here for decades, and it was bad back around 1989, but wow, just steadily became worse. The best thing was the pandemic.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's like it's shining lights through the pandemic where getting to be home with your family a little bit more, and that there was no traffic.
Yeah.
If you did need to go somewhere, you got there pretty quickly.
Yeah, it's people stop moving here. Just stop.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't get anywhere as it is.
Yeah, yeah. And note to everybody around the world, if you're thinking about this place, then we might have the jobs, but please don't move here.
Yeah.
It
Commute from somewhere else, please.
was funny when we were out in LA making this album, and driving. The traffic's bad in LA, but I'm like, this isn't any worse than Atlanta traffic. It's like
about the same.
It's like we're already kind of used to this.
Yeah, I was there like 20 years ago, and just getting to Santa Monica, I was like, no, this is, everybody's talking about it. Inglewood, I remember going through sitting on the 10 or something like that. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, we really like to pretend like we're from there while we're out there, and we're like, oh, we're gonna take the 4.
We're gonna take the 5.
4, 5, 10.
Now we get back here, we're home. It's like, oh, you got to get on the 285,
the 75.
What a mess! Oh my gosh, people don't even know. Who have never been here. It's just, it's usually a pass through. I always say Atlanta is like America's colon. Everything has to pass through here.
Yeah,
I love that.
And it's so, the city is not laid out on a grid pattern.
Wait, if it's the colon, what does that make Florida?
Exactly.
No.
Yeah, the city's not laid out on a grid pattern, and everything's named Peachtree. It's just,
Yeah, it's wild.
And that theme carries out through the metro area. Like in my area, somebody named Jones must have owned the land here. So everything's Jones something, Jones Bridge, Jones, right? It's like all, they stick with that same theme. It's like, how do first responders deal with that? It's kind of a nightmare.
Yeah. It's wild.
Terrible. So you have a great new release out. This is fantastic. Greener Pastures. How did this come about?
Oh my Lord. So the day that Stone Sessions was released, Stone Sessions was our sophomore album. We talked to you about that last year.
Right. You're a three-peat, by the way. Yeah.
The day that that got released, a buddy of ours out in LA, who is friends with Shel Talmy, had it playing in the car when he and Shel were going for drinks. And Shel was just like, this is great. Who is this? And Harry told him who we were, and he said, do you think they'd be interested in recordings and stuff? I've always wanted to record country music. And Harry was like, well, they're not idiots, so they're probably interested.
Well, we are idiots.
I mean, he was being kind. He was being kind.
Well, first we kind of just thought, when our buddy Harry was telling us, we just kind of thought, yeah, everybody's always like, hey man, so-and-so, I know, and they're going to reach out. This kind of stuff happens a lot, people saying that, hey, I've got a friend who's going to reach, So we just kind of took it in stride, hey, that's very flattering. I'm very, but we never thought Shel would actually reach out to us. And man, a couple of days later, caller ID, phone's ringing, Shel Talmy. It's like, wow.
Shel Talmy, the Kinks and the Who. I mean, producer.
And I mentioned David Bowie.
David Bowie's
first. Bowie.
Yeah. And he at one point recorded, was it Jerry Lee Lewis?
He recorded Jerry Lee in England. He did an album with Jerry Lee Lewis in England, but he still considered that a rock and roll record. He didn't still feel like he had made a country album.
Yeah, like a classic country album. Yeah. But then, so originally we were just going to go out and record 2 cover songs. He sent us an email with a list of several old standards that hadn't been recorded in about 40 years. And he said, I think we can make hits out of these today. And so we picked 2. It was Buck Owens' Under Your Spell Again, and Marty Robbins' Don't Worry. It's always been a favorite of mine. So when I saw it on the list, I was like, we're doing that. And so we went out originally to record those 2 tracks, and everybody just kind of fell in love with each other and fell in love with the project, and Shel said, we need to do a full album. So we took it to the label fully thinking that they were going to be like, no, we can't afford this. This is insane. Cause I mean, it's Shel Talmy. It's, a little bit expensive. But they were 100% on board. And then we had the task of writing 8 more songs.
Yeah. And when we first went out, they're at the very beginning, early stages of this documentary on Shel. So when we first went out to do the recording, the documentary team paid for us to go for the recording session, because they wanted to record the studio stuff to get some more,
a place to start,
recording Shel recording. So when we went out to record for them, it was on the documentary crew's dime, which we're not allowed to discuss much about that because it's still in the early stages. But so, we thought we'd get 2 songs out of it and that we could at least, maybe get a 45 and get some stuff. But radio just won't push, singles, so they want to push a whole album. So we had to come up with, it all kind of came together. Same time we found out about this with the radio promotion and that Shel was.
From farm to your store in days, not weeks. That's 80 Acres Farms. Did you know that most salad travels over 2,000 miles to reach your plate? But not 80 Acres Farms. Their crisp salad greens and herbs are food less traveled. This means it stays fresher for longer in your fridge. My salad lasts all week long. No more food waste. Oh, and did I mention there's no need to wash this produce because 80 Acres Farms uses 0 pesticides. Visit 80acresfarms.com to learn more and find their salads and herbs at your local Kroger.
Y'all got to come out and do 8 more songs. Let's do 8 more songs. And that's when we were like, that's a big budget for an independent label. It's a big budget, but she was right. The owner of the label is a huge Shel Talmy nerd. So he was instantly like, yes, we're doing this. We're doing this. We're going to find a way to make this happen. And the next thing we know, we're in LA again.
Yeah.
Like she was saying, we had to scrounge and we had songs ready for another album, but we didn't have songs that fit this motif,
Right.
This was done in a very vintage Nashville A-Team kind of recording way, very Owen Bradley. When we were in there doing those songs, man, we ran through those songs. We'd talk about stops and stops and starts and what would happen in the solo. And then we'd do it and then maybe do it one more time, just live, and
then hit record.
Hit record. And so it was that kind of feeling that, we needed songs that felt vintage, like, like the process itself did. So we had to kind of write under pressure, which is not something we're used to. We kind of just write songs and shelve them. And, and when we have enough for an album, we're kind of like, hey, we got an album's worth of material here. Let's make an album. But this time it's like, oh my gosh, we have to come up with 8 more songs that fit this project.
So we had to get some friends involved too, or a friend.
Yeah, we have a songwriting partner in Austin, Johnny McGowan, who writes in that vein all the time. That's his thing. Every song he writes sounds like a country song from the late 60s or early 70s, So he sent us a slew of them. We picked 2 of his.
Yeah, he sent us a bunch of his demos. Things that he hadn't recorded or didn't plan on recording yet. Yeah. So we picked at first we had only picked 1, and he sent Hill Country Waltz in there as well. And I was just like, I'm just not feeling it. And then we were on tour in Austin and we went to go see him at a show. And he played it live for us. And I was like, I want that song. That's my song now. I get that song. That's mine.
Yeah, it was a little faster than his demo.
Thank you.
It was a little faster than his demo. And we had another one of his that we were going to do. And we scratched that one and put in Hill Country Waltz. But he also, a couple of these songs that we wrote, we sent to him just for like, hey, give us some edits on lyrics and arrangement. He helped us come up with Greener Pastures, the title track. He helped us use some more vintage sounding verbiage than what we had. So we had him in our corner, and then we took the label wanted us to take one from our solo project, something older, to re-record. So mine was She's Gone. That came off an album of mine from 2006, and Kira's was Flashbacks of a Fool. That was on her first demo, which never sounded like we had envisioned it in our heads on the demo.
And then when you have the opportunity to re-record a song that you wanted to be kind of like almost Motown meets country, and you have Shel Talmy at your hands, absolutely, after we got that song,
the result is fantastic. Flashbacks of a Fool. I love that echo effect. Was that like his idea in that sense?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
it's so funny. We went into the studio to do acoustic demos of these songs before we sent them to Shel. Sorry, baby, didn't need to elbow you in the knee. To do work up acoustic versions of these songs with the good vocals and stuff. And so we spent a day. I mean, it was a long day in the studio. We had somebody in there helping us with harmonies and stuff. And so we felt proud.
Well, originally we sent, because Shel asked for demos, and we're not used to high budget things. So we just sent him some cell phone recordings of us playing the songs how we wanted to play them and the arrangements that we wanted to do. And he just said, "That's adorable. Please get into a studio and send me some actual demos."
It's like, so before you go into the studio with Shel, you got to go into a studio to prepare to go into the studio with Shel.
Yeah.
But so, we put some pretty good arrangements on some of these songs, and sent him off the demos, and man, he chopped them right up. And
this is not good.
But I was like, Shel, we can afford to go back into the studio and cut these with these arrangements. It's the studio's expensive. And he was like, no, we'll do it here, but just know this is what's going to happen. So like the Flashbacks of a Fool, when he was telling us it was just going to be a cappella at the top, some of these arrangements, we were just like, this is weird. I don't know how this is even going to pan out. I don't like this. But, with Shel Talmy, we told ourselves that we're going to shut our mouths and go in there. We're not going to go in there as the Waymores. We're not going to compromise our integrity. We're not going to make a pop country record, which I didn't have any fear of Shel making. But we told ourselves, we're just going to give ourselves over to Shel and look at ourselves as singers on Shel.
See what he comes up with.
And, so even these arrangements that we were in question of, once we heard them playing out with the full band, we were like, man, that is genius. And they're very vintage arrangements. Now that he's done some of these arrangements, when I hear some classic country stuff, I was like, that's exactly, it's like you're going to do just the solo is the back half of the chorus. It's not the whole, short solo.
Are really neat.
Yeah, the arrangements are really neat. And, the solo areas are small. They're not big solos, which is very common, in classic country stuff. Solo areas were small and on a lot of stuff. And I'm like, so now I hear a lot of these arrangements in classic country stuff, so it's like trust, it all. I was like, it's genius. All the things that we questioned once we started doing it was like, man, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got the Tammy Faye, George Jones vibe with the Buck Owens cover. I like the trading off of the vocals. It's just it totally brings me back to that.
We we of course, just because we're a duo, we get compared to a lot of the duos out there, but George and Tammy is one of my favorites.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, there's Johnny and June always.
Loretta
and Conway, we've actually started doing a lot of Loretta and Conway in our live shows too, just because it's so much fun.
Yeah.
They had a great, back and forth with each other too.
Yeah. Their stuff, when you look at those, the duets, the George and Tammy and the Johnny and June stuff, it's like the Loretta and Conway stuff was the most lighthearted.
Yes. It's very,
of those duos.
Because George and Tammy were like brutal.
Yeah.
Gosh, the miniseries. Oh my gosh, I saw.
Yeah.
George said in his biography, Tammy loved me and I tortured her for it.
Yes.
I love that line.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. So picking these covers, Greener Pastures kind of reminds me of Paul McCartney once did a song called Sally J. It kind of reminds me of that Nashville vibe. It just really affects you. Coming up with the covers for this project, how did you pick these, like the Buck Owens cover?
So with the first two, the Buck Owens and Marty Robbins, we just thought that we were going out for those specifically. We are huge Buck Owens fans, but we're also obviously Waylon Jennings fans. And Waylon and Jesse did a version of Under Your Spell that we kind of pulled from that a little bit and from the Buck Owens one to try and like make a Waymores version. So we were really happy with the way that turned out. Don't Worry was an easy pick because, like I said, I've been obsessed with that song for years.
Yeah, but man, he wants you to sing a Marty Robbins song. It's like, whoo, she had no problem. But
that's why I loved it, because it was Marty Robbins. And I was like, I'm going to try to sing like Marty Robbins. I love his voice.
And the John Prine one we wanted to do Louisiana Woman, Mississippi Man, because we've been doing it live, even with the full band. And man, it's just such a good time. And we really wanted to cover that. And a couple of days before we started heading out to LA, Shel said, we're going to scratch Louisiana Woman, Mississippi Man. And I want y'all to cover
this John Prine
song. And we're like, of course, John Prine's one of our biggest influences. So absolutely. And it's so funny. He goes, we're going to break it up into a duet. So Kira and I, he didn't tell us how. So Kira and I just start breaking it up into a duet, how we would do it. And, she had the first half of it and I had the second half like that. And we got there, we had learned it that way. I'd learned there's a lot of words in that song. Yeah. And we got to the the studio, and Shel's like, "No, you're going to sing what she's singing." And she's going to. I was like, "Dang it!"
So Willie, every track was recorded live. Willie kind of led the band and played with the band while I sang a guide vocal. So I would sing my parts and his parts, and they ended up keeping most of my guide vocal tracks as the final track. And I would just go in and do harmonies. And then, so the only overdubs are my harmonies and then Willie's
I had
vocals.
to go back and do my vocal.
And so Willie nailed all of his vocals. And then it came time to do You Got Gold. And because he only had like a day to switch his mind around the verse that he learned versus the verse that he was going to sing, man, that thing kicked his butt.
Oh, man. And
he was so bad.
My voice was going out. You can tell in the track. What I love, man, my voice was tired, but it's tricky. The cadence of that, is there ever enough space between us to keep us both honest and true? It was just impossible. I couldn't get it. It was just, flub, 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 flub. I was like, dang it, Shel, you got me. You got me.
And if you've ever worked with Shel in the studio, Shel doesn't really cut corners about feelings.
He lets it be known.
He was like, nope, do it again. Nope, do it again.
Yeah.
And on some of my harmonies, he would tell the engineer, he was like, just stop her, shut her up, shut her up. She's not doing it right. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, when you do good, he's very great. Complimentary.
Yeah.
And he's not mean. There's no time for feelings. Yeah. Time is money.
You're paying, paying for every bit of it.
It's like, no, they did finally start just like letting you do the whole take because
our hearts were breaking a little bit.
Johnny Lee Shel, who was the engineer, who's an incredible guy too. He's like, it's really, he had a good point that it's really, if you stop them when they mess up, it really starts to mess with you psychologically.
Right.
Let them do the whole take, and then go back and do it again. He goes, when you start shutting them down like that, they start to feel like, man, I'm not doing, it starts to mess with your brain. You start losing confidence. So, that was very cool learning thing.
Yeah, for sure.
You would feel like you're on eggshells. It feel like, oh my God, what's he hearing now?
When you're not getting it, and especially for me, like, I didn't play guitar on, this is the first album that we've recorded that
you played guitar on 2 tracks.
I didn't.
Well, the first 2 we did, you played guitar.
Oh, that's right. On Under Your Spell. Okay, so the other 8 tracks I didn't play guitar on, and so vocals were kind of like my, time to shine. So if I would get them wrong, and the harmonies for the first 2 songs that we did were, I did not know how to come to the studio prepared until I met these guys. And then on the other 8 tracks, I was very prepared and went straight through them. But those first 2, man, whew.
Yeah, it was
it'll teach you real quick.
Man, and we didn't know who the players were when we first showed up to do those 2. Shel we didn't know who the players were. He just said, he kept telling us he had assembled a modern day wrecking crew. So our imagination was just running wild. We didn't know. We knew that Johnny Lee Shel, who'd played for Bonnie Raitt, who plays for Taj Mahal, played for John Fogerty, we knew was going to be the engineer and that we were in his studio. But man, we didn't know that it was going to be Phil Parlapiano, who was John Prine's piano player. We didn't know it was going to be Dave Pearlman, who played for Hoyt Axton and Merle Haggard. We didn't know, we didn't know the caliber of these players that we were going to have.
And thank God we didn't.
Because you wouldn't have been able to get me to go in. But man, those guys treated us like equals. There was no, we learned so much, no ego at all. They were just friendly and laid back, and they would mess up, when we were trying to work out arrangements and stuff. They were all so humbling. And after a while, it took a little bit to start feeling proud of yourself for being able, whatever we did was good enough to get the, Stone Sessions were good enough to get the attention of one of the most legendary producers that's ever lived, and to bring us into that, it's like, you've earned, at first it was like, God, we're not supposed to be in here. There's something wrong, but after a while, those guys made us feel like, no, you absolutely deserve to be in here. So it was quite the experience. It was very humbling. And all those guys, man, oh heavens. But it's so funny. All those guys have played together in one fashion or with one person. They've all, so man, if you're in between takes or in between and one starts telling a story, oh my God.
You're done for like 30 minutes.
You're done for 30 minutes. Everybody's telling, oh yeah, I know that guy. And it was great. We would just like stop and be so caught up in the story. And then, Shel's like, hey,
we're making
to the top.
We're making an album here. Let's get back.
Back to the work.
stop these guys from talking. They have the best stories ever.
And talking about recording with Willie Nelson and Bob Dylan and Townes Van Zandt. It's like these guys have played with everybody.
Yeah, they'll tell it like it really is too, and not just give you the bluster that you get through. Maybe a book comes out and it's all filtered and everything.
Yeah. Oh no, this was very unfiltered.
Yeah, and it was just
awesome.
It was just great. It definitely made me very proud of us. To just like
It took a bit for our feet to land back on the floor.
Yeah, and for us to go, for them to be like, man, you deserved it. We earned this. We earned this to be, to be in this room right now. Instead of like, I'm out of my element. We're fooling these people and they just haven't caught on to it yet. That took a while for that feeling to go away.
From farm to your store in days, not weeks. That's 80 Acres Farms. Did you know that most salad travels over 2,000 miles to reach your plate? But not 80 Acres Farms. Their crisp salad greens and herbs are food less traveled. This means it stays fresher for longer in your fridge. My salad lasts all week long. No more food waste. Oh, and did I mention there's no need to wash this produce because 80 Acres Farms uses 0 pesticides. Visit 80acresfarms.com to learn more and find their salads and herbs at your local Kroger.
We all know a guy who only occasionally shaves for big occasions, and it's because that occasional shave really hurts. It's the time of year for big occasions, and yet there he is, suffering with that cheap drugstore razor. Let's help him out. Henson Shaving's line of razors, built with aerospace precision, deliver a smooth shave your dad, brother, and even son can enjoy, eventually. With replacement blades just 10 cents each, you'll buy it once, and they'll use it for life. How's that for the perfect gift? Celebrate with 100 free blades on your first purchase, and no subscription headaches. HensonShaving.com/holiday.
Yeah, but you've definitely earned it. You've been doing this for a while and more than a minute. So I mean, honestly, you have to tell yourself that. But at the end of the day, they know it too. It's a job. I mean, it's a job just like any other.
And just watching Shel work and and all those guys work, but Shel, like vocally, I was a nervous wreck in there, and I knew that I was playing guitar with the band, kind of, leading the band, and Shel was sitting in a chair. Shel, I don't know if you know that Shel's blind. I don't know if you know this about him. He has been most of his life. He's been blind, but his ears are. He wanted to be a fiddle player, but he was told early on that he was going to lose his vision. So he knew he couldn't direct film. So he got into music because you don't have to see. But I'm standing like kind of close to him, and I'm working out a part with the band, and I'm singing kind of really, really soft. And Shel calls me down to, and I lean in and I go, "Yes, sir." He goes, that's how I want you to sing live. You project real hard because, there's energy, and you're in front of an audience, and, you've got a lot of times you're in honky tonks where you got to really project to cut over the noise of other people, so when our first 2 tracks, I kept just projecting really, really hard. And Shel was like, I got to figure out what to do with you vocally, but, not that I couldn't sing, but he couldn't figure out how to tell me to sing softer. Anyway, he leaned in. I leaned in. He goes, what you were doing right there when you were just singing in your talking voice, working. He goes, that's what I want you to do. Just sing in your talking voice. And I was like, he goes, you project, you naturally loud. He goes, sing in your talking voice. Changed my life. I was like, why didn't somebody say that to me 5 albums ago?
It took somebody that's true talent.
Yeah. He was like, hey, you don't realize how much you project when you speak.
The more that you're pushing in the studio to project your voice, you're going to be pitchy. You're going to be sharp. You're going to, so singing at the softest volume is, And
I think on this album is it is probably my favorite vocal performance of all of our albums and all of my solo albums. It was just lots of warmth in my voice. It was great. So that little thing with Shel just changed the way I thought about singing in the studio forever.
That's fantastic. And speaking of like the more solo stuff, were you saying She's Gone was yours from previous?
Yeah, it's off my album Lonesome. I think came out in 2006. Sure, I think 2006.
Somewhere on there, The years get cloudy.
2006, yeah. It's an acoustic album that I put. That album I made like this. I wanted to make like a tribute to Townes and John Prine. So it's just kind of some really good. It's one of my favorite. It is my favorite solo album.
It's the album that made me fall in love with them. So it's my.
And we do a couple
singing songs about other women. Love that. Love that.
uh,
Yeah, she's gone. It's kind of more like as a shuffle. It's
yeah,
yeah, very lively. Was
yeah,
it like that on the original?
yeah. It's the same tempos because it's just all done with just acoustic lead and stuff. It's not got the boogie woogie piano on and stuff. And they're a little bit different, but the integrity of the song is the same.
Yeah. And Tavern Time, do you do that one live too? That must go over well if you're doing that in actual bars, taverns.
Yeah, we do it with the full band. It doesn't really translate when we do it acoustic.
Not a duo song. I mean, I guess we could, but it works really well when we take the full band out.
Yeah, it's really good. It's a fun.
And we take that and from our previous album, I Don't Like the Liquor, and people just go nuts.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
Yeah.
People love songs about drinking.
They do.
All part of country and some of those other subjects like divorce.
Yeah.
So getting out there on the road, how much do you plan on doing? We're now well into 2023 as this album's coming out. Where do you plan on touring?
So starting September, so the album release we do in our hometown, Marietta, Georgia. You should come.
Up in Marietta, yes, definitely.
It's August 25th at the Hunt House in Marietta. And then we have a few days off. And on September 1st, we're in Florida and we go all the way, touring the whole way, all the way out to California and back in September. Then we're home for like 2 days. And then we go up to Wisconsin, Chicago, Detroit.
It's like 50 dates, right?
There's like 46, 50 dates somewhere in there between September and October.
And we have some medical things we have to deal with at the end of October. So we're done.
We're hitting it hard in September and October for a reason, because we're off the road. October 28th is our last show this year. And then we're going to hit the ground running in January.
Yeah. So we have to be done for the rest of the year at the end of October. So we're trying to get it all in.
Fitting it all in.
And there'll still be, we'll still be supporting this album some in January.
Yeah.
Because man, the funny thing, making albums it's a lot of stress. And when we made Stone Sessions, man, it was very, very stressful because we're making the album remotely. Everybody's recording home studios, and it was so much stress. And then, getting press lined up and done and, all of the stress of it. It was very stressful. It's a great album. Once we're done, we're very pleased with it. But, that album had just come out. The day it was released is the day Shel heard it and all of this began. So man, we just finished the stress of, then we're touring in support of that album, man. And that album wasn't even out 6 months and we were already recording the next album.
It wasn't out 3 months.
3 months and we were already
Stone Sessions got released April 8th and we were in California recording with Shel in July.
Yeah.
So man,
it was a whirlwind.
We're gonna, when this album comes out, it's like we're gonna let it have a little bit of breathing room before we try to make another album, because man, we
yeah. And that, our break at the end of the year, obviously, like Willie said, for medical reasons, but we're gonna take full advantage and rest a little bit too, because we haven't stopped in a while. So
I mean, we've been going really hard, and man, we love life on the road. The wanderlust in us is what fuels, music is a great means to travel, which, life is about travel to me and to, Kira as well. But it is, because you enjoy it doesn't mean you don't get tired.
Yeah.
You're not eating right. And Kira's got, a lot of dietary restrictions. It's, and the longer we have to buy food and prepare meals for her. She can't just eat. I can eat like a raccoon. I can eat anything. I do.
It catches up with you.
You're not sleeping well. You're not eating right. It's a lot of fatigue. No matter how much you love it, your body still starts to just, tell you need a break. And so we've
dealt with several of those things with me.
Yeah, we're going to, try to just get some real rest at the end of the year.
Yeah. Yeah, as you're traveling, and if you want to have your own kind of quasi home cooked meals and things like that, that's time consuming too. Everywhere you stop, you're going shopping.
Really have to take full advantage of any day off, any moment off. If you have the morning off, you're going grocery shopping and preparing. And like you said, the longer a tour goes on, I feel like the more I kind of let some things slide.
Yeah, that's
where I'm like,
sure.
give me that hamburger now.
well, and it's also, you start, man, there's, lots of times, there are sometimes, man, you'll play a show and you got to break down and start driving to the next, sometimes the routing isn't always the best, or you have to
What are
be
you talking about? I did great at routing.
sometimes we have to, the opportunity to take a show,
Sure.
big show. It's like, well, we have to make this. So we did a video shoot in Nashville a couple of weeks ago, and we wrapped at like 3:30 in the afternoon and had to be 10 hours away in the next town for a television appearance. And so it's like we had to get up 6 a.m., start shooting the video, be done at 3:30 and drive all night to be at the
We got to our hotel at around 3 a.m.
Dropped our bags. I think slept for an hour, and we got up and had to be at the TV studio,
spot,
to do a TV. So sometimes, it's hard to maintain her diet when the schedule's crazy like that. And with press and stuff, when you got an album out, there's, you got to be in town early because you got to do a, press interview that,
and we're thankful for all of it. So we want to hit everything that we can.
Yeah.
Because this isn't, our highest moment. We're still growing.
Yeah.
We want to take full advantage of anybody that wants to, take us on, interview us, and
we're not
be a part of our team. And but
we're not in a position where we can turn down interviews right now. It's not, we have to take the ones that, and we're grateful for every one of them, like she said. But the point of it was that, man, your schedule is just, we do everything else. We don't have a tour manager. We don't have,
right.
We're trying to keep our budget low. We're trying to keep all of that money for
ourselves. We're greedy.
Yeah. Well, you have to do. You need a profit.
And man, God knows we need a tour manager. We need, but we don't. We do all of that ourselves. So it's
time consuming, and it definitely takes a toll on you.
Yeah, you just want to create and be an artist, but you have to market as well, and that's tough to wear all those different hats.
It is tough.
Sure.
It's the topic of a lot of conversations where well, like even with the Shel thing, when we were touring, or we were already on tour for another album, and we had to write song. It's like, man, we're trying to write songs going down the road, which a lot of them we did.
Yeah.
I'd come up with a part of a song while driving. I'd go to Kira, she would, and a lot of times on the road, we'll try to get up in the morning and go for walks, because you don't get
you're in the van
and
10
then
hours
a day,
and
you're sitting, you're sitting still, even though you're moving, your body's not. So like Kira wrote, part of Greener Pastures while we were on a walk one morning, and I wrote Time to Ramble, part of it,
not driving,
so it's you don't have time, it's hard to find time to be an artist, and sometimes that gets a little unfair when your art is what's this is all about, but the business side of it eats up most of your time. I'd say it's probably 70% business and 30% art.
Most of the stage is the fun part. Most of the time. Sometimes even that is work.
Yeah, labor of love. It's for sure. You're doing what a lot of artists did. And I remember back in the 70s, it's like those record companies, tour, record. It's like it feels like a treadmill in a way. So you're probably like that break coming up.
Well, back then, in those days, your record label had PR. Your record label had booking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or connections too. So if you were on this label, you knew you had those things. It's a different world now. Fortunately, our record label still kind of runs on an old-fashioned thing. They farm out press, but they get PR. They help with a lot more than a lot of labels do nowadays. But still, they put them in the machine. It was like you tour and create art. The artists, back in the 70s stuff, they didn't have to worry about the PR and stuff because all that stuff was handled in-house.
Yeah, different world for sure. And everybody, and I say this all the time, just about everybody could do this now. Back then, if you wanted to record, that was a bigger chore. These days.
The technology was such, record labels are mostly a bank. The technology was so expensive back in those days, and so sparse, that you had to have money to be able to do that. It wasn't like you could just go, nowadays you can go set up a home little studio because technology is what it is. But back then, man, it was tapes and reels and microphones that, were expensive that the average fella couldn't get his hands on. and the knowledge to run that stuff.
I
Yeah.
still don't have
I don't either. I can tell you what sounds good, but I don't know how to
mash all the buttons.
mash all the buttons. I don't know how to make it do.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. If you look at a real professional board, it's just like, you need a degree in that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just so nice to be able to just take your voice notes. You've got an idea. It's not like the old days where you had to bring the recorder and even record onto tape.
We have sheets and we have phone recordings of like melodies and stuff, of course, that we come up with. So we have like, but also like just a database of lyrics that we
like one-liners.
Yeah. This is a good idea for chorus. And but we also have, just little memo recordings of hey, here's an idea, so that is really handy to have all that right there in your pocket of your hand. There are times we've been going down the road and I'll be driving and I'll go singer, and I'll just hit record and just sing like the melody of something I had going through my head. Yeah, that's very helpful in the writing process these days.
Good. And still doing videos. You were saying you were doing one in Nashville. Are you doing these as concept videos still, or are you doing performance?
This one is it's a little of both. This one is one of the most high budget videos that we've ever done. And it was the first time that we didn't have to be the crew and the
talent.
We got to show up, be pampered and treated like rock stars, and they did our makeup and
fed us,
chose our outfits and fed us food. Yeah. So we're very excited. That's about all we can say about that for now.
Yeah. Good.
We're very excited about this one, and hopefully it gets a warm reception.
Yeah, like she was saying, we've been
from farm to your store in days, not weeks. That's 80 Acres Farms. Did you know that most salad travels over 2,000 miles to reach your plate? But not 80 Acres Farms. Their crisp salad greens and herbs are food less traveled. This means it stays fresher for longer in your fridge. My salad lasts all week long. No more food waste. Oh, and did I mention there's no need to wash this produce because 80 Acres Farms uses 0 pesticides. Visit 80acresfarms.com to learn more and find their salads and herbs at your local Kroger.
We all know a guy who only occasionally shaves for big occasions, and it's because that occasional shave really hurts. It's the time of year for big occasions, and yet there he is, suffering with that cheap drugstore razor. Let's help him out. Henson Shaving's line of razors, built with aerospace precision, deliver a smooth shave your dad, brother, and even son can enjoy, eventually. With replacement blades just 10 cents each, you'll buy it once, and they'll use it for life. How's that for the perfect gift? Celebrate with 100 free blades on your first purchase, and no subscription headaches. HensonShaving.com/holiday.
We've done some guerrilla style videos before that, they're looking, but we, had to show up and set up the scene and do the catering and do, everything else and get everybody there. This time it was all we had to be was the talent.
It's
we just
really
showed
great.
up. It felt really nice.
That is nice. So have you been played beyond YouTube? Has like CMT played your videos and any other outlet?
Not CMT yet, but we've had a couple outlets like Diddy TV premiered some stuff on Stone Sessions for us. We had the Bluegrass Situation premiere. I think it was Under Your Spell Again that they premiered from this album. We've had several good track premieres on this album and on Stone Sessions. And then I think Diddy is going to do something else with us. But as far as so my goal for this one was a little bit bigger of an outlet. We're still hoping, fingers crossed. It probably won't be a song premiere, but it might be a video premiere.
Yeah, we're hoping that some big outlets are going to pick it up. We don't want to say too much in fear that we might jinx it. I think this video is going to do better than our other videos.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. You don't want to jinx it. It's so fun.
The last video we made was for I Don't Like the Liquor. So a lot of people, when it talks about like weed and cocaine and stuff, and so a lot of people were like, this is a great video, but no,
we can't. The content.
So we just kind of did that one on our own. We put that one out on our own. And then before that, it was just kind of like the label putting stuff out. So the videos themselves have yet to have a big premiere, but all of the songs have done really great with premieres.
Yeah, we know how that went with CMT and Jason Aldean. That lasted about a minute there. Yeah, and now he's like kind of like, it was funny because Jason Aldean with that song was like at number 1. Now I think it just dropped like 20 slots.
He's not. Yeah, I just think it's all kind of a publicity stunt with all of that because it got, he got the attention that he wanted out of it, regardless of whether it's bad or good. It's press.
Yeah. It's a really niche audience too, it seems like, and it kind of reminds me of what happened with Toby Keith. I mean, have we heard much, since Toby Keith had his big hit?
Every amount of like drama in the media now lasts about a minute, like maybe half a minute, and then somebody's like, "Oh, something shiny," "Ooh,
Yeah.
squirrel."
Yeah,
Then they're on to the next
that's
thing.
the age we live in. Kira and I, we were talking about recording earlier, how now, just about anybody can record. We have this saying that, the beautiful thing about the internet is that anybody can make a record and put it out. And the terrible thing about the internet is that anybody can make a record and put it out.
Yeah.
So true.
Yeah.
So it's really oversaturated,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good and it's bad, and that's how it works, and you do the best you can.
That's life.
For every action, for every positive, there's a negative. So that's life.
Yeah, it's about having that meaningful originality, and what does it take? And who knows? There's no formula. It's how art works. It's very, very tough.
Yeah.
Loretta is joining us.
Yeah.
Oh, sweetie. It's a good one. Very, very good. It's now, what side of town are you? You're always in Marietta? Are you close to Marietta?
We live in Marietta now. Our son just graduated from high school in May, and he moved out Monday.
Hey,
Loretta, come down here. He moves out on Monday. So he'll be going to Georgia State, and we're just gonna be, Loretta, please. We're just going to be hanging out here for the rest of this year, and then kind of see where next year takes us. I don't know that we'll stay in Atlanta.
Yeah, we're talking about now that we'll be empty nesters. I have a daughter from a previous marriage who's 27 now.
Yeah, just turned
27, and now that Sebastian's headed off to school, we don't sit still very long, and so we think we'd like to get out and hang our hats, call somewhere else home for a little bit, not forever. Maybe we got a couple of towns we want to live in, maybe for a couple 5 years, just to see how we like it. We tour so much that we
right
don't go, but we'd eventually like to live in Birmingham for a little while, and then maybe out in Texas for a little while, and then there's a town in Arizona called Cottonwood, Arizona, that we really, really, really love, and we would like to try.
We're just going to park the van in several spots.
Park the van in several spots, and just live here or there, and then work our way back. Back to Georgia later. But I think we really want to get out of Georgia for a while. I think.
You get to that point. Yeah.
We've been here for a very long time.
Yeah, especially up in Marietta, and for those who don't know, it's not too far off of I-75 if you're passing through, like so many do. Marietta's closer to that. But yeah, if you want to slow down in life, this isn't the place to be. Yeah, these smaller towns like Greenville, South Carolina, or Chattanooga, just a little bit easier to get around than the Atlanta metro.
Yeah, and it's, Atlanta's a really great hub for touring, and that's why we're talking about Birmingham as our first stopping point, because it's also a really great hub, and the music scene in Birmingham is really wonderful. We don't feel a huge connection to the music scene in Atlanta. It's really hard to be a country act in this town.
Hard to be a country act in a hip hop town.
Yeah, and there is a great music scene. We're just not really, we spend so many days on the road out of this state. That I don't feel like there's a big, there's not a real tie here other than our child, which was, the biggest tie, and now he's leaving.
And man, we see so many cool and beautiful towns. I mean, towns, where you're just visually stimulated all the time. You're just from the architecture and the landscape stuff. And our side of town, man, it's just so.
It's all medical buildings.
It's all medical buildings and billboards and fast food places and strip malls.
There's like 14 Walgreens within a 2.5 mile.
It's like, visually just unattractive, not to be trash talking our town, but man, you go to Asheville, or somewhere
beautiful.
Where you're just stunning,
you're just visually stimulated all the time by how beautiful it is, and Birmingham's a really pretty town too, and just, I don't know, we're just tired of looking at all of this concrete stuff, it's just, it's not a very attractive side of town.
My side of town, I'm in Peachtree Corners, which is a town that's over 10 years old now. It's part of Gwinnett County near Norcross. And it is now they're marketing more and more to millennials and probably Gen Z more so in these future generations. So, and it's happening over in Snellville and places like this where they're putting up like these living spaces that look like prisons. But they must think the kids want these things and they're expensive.
Man, we noticed so that's a really big thing in Europe, so everybody's like, you'll have a 6-7 story old building, the architecture is beautiful to look at, but all the ground level are shops, cafes and bars and restaurants and little stores and stuff, and everybody lives, above them.
Eat, work,
right.
So here you see a lot of that. The concept is they do that, eat here, work here, that if you don't have to have a vehicle, if we provide everything for you right here in this little area, if you don't have to have a vehicle other than an Uber, if you need to go somewhere, then that's a car payment you don't have to make every month, which gives you more money to put into your rent.
Yeah.
Right.
It's kind of like it's a gimmicky thing, but in Europe, I love it because, sometimes you're staying like in an apartment, it's a couple, and there's no elevators. You got to walk all the way down these stairs that are this tiny. But, it's like, hey, I'm just going to go down to the market, or I'm going to go down to the cafe. It's right out your door. You know what I mean? And if you need to go somewhere, there's a train. Just hop on a train, go do what you need to do.
It has its moments, just like anything does.
Yeah. I see. But when we came back here, we started noticing a lot more. Oh, that's a European way of thinking as far as living. It's like there, and that is I was talking with a developer who was saying that is the thing. It's like if we cut out. I can't afford to live there. You can, if you don't have a $500 a month car payment, you can add, because you don't need a car, right? Everything you need is right here within to live. Your job is right there, or you're working from home. But here's a Whole Foods right here, and here's a cafe, and even here's a little local bar, all within 2 blocks of your. You don't have to have transportation, and you have the luxury if you want to go somewhere that's not right around. You can catch an Uber.
Right. You could do the Uber because here in the Atlanta Metro, we have very little public transportation.
Yeah. That's the other thing. The public transportation is a hassle here. Our son had to do it for a while he was doing an internship at the High Museum. And so, she rode with him on the train to get it, but it wasn't very convenient.
We had like little test runs from our house, from his dad's house, and so that he knew what he was dealing with. But we also prepared him for, look, if you're coming home late from work one night, the train isn't a very nice place. You got to be, head on a swivel, put your phone in your pocket. Don't be looking down at your phone, be aware of your surroundings. And so we had to have that talk.
There's danger on the train.
Yeah, there is.
It has gotten that way over the years. Yeah. And I mean, it's a nice thing. It could be a whole lot nicer, obviously, and it should be able to go in a lot more places, but it's been voted down so much over all these years.
Well, that's because they don't want to bring, a lot of these areas don't want to bring, if you put that train that runs into a poor part of town, their thinking is, I'm not saying it's right, but the way that they think is that, if you put that train that goes through the poor side of town and brings it here, that gives them a free ride into the rich part of town.
People are coming.
Here come the poors.
Here come the poors.
There's that thinking there. It's like they don't want that access. They don't want.
There are some really, really nice, rich places of especially in our side of town. We live in East Cobb. It's over here, and
we are.
We stayed because of the school system, and the orchestra program at the school system was just incredible. And our son was, a bass player and sat first chair all 4 years. And so for us, it was, purposeful to stay here, but it's just ridiculous.
Yeah. You never even know this. A lot of people don't know this. And in the East Cobb, even worse than like where I'm at, it's like there's a road called Johnson Ferry, and there's like everything's on it, but you got to drive everywhere.
We live right off of Johnson Ferry, so we know.
Oh my gosh. I mean, you should see this.
We're well aware.
People who don't know, it's like, oh my gosh. There's this one, and I have to give a shout out to the Mediterranean Grill on Johnson Ferry. That's when I go there, I take the back way to get over there. And really nice, great restaurant. It's just like it's a little nook and on Johnson Ferry. But yeah, and there are like some very pretty areas. You got to drive to everything here in the Atlanta area. Especially you want to get near the Chattahoochee River, which is the only river that comes through here. got to drive.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some pretty there. Yeah, you're right. We go to some nature walks that are close by that are really pretty and really well kept, but you had to drive to them. I guess we could ride a bike.
Yeah, good luck.
But then I'm too tired to do anything. Yeah. Yeah, there's some pretty stuff around it, but not when we walk out our door or if we're, it's like I said, it's all brick and mortar and just uninspiring architecture. What is going on with the architecture these days? Why? I guess it's to put it up faster.
Right.
The practicality of it, then it's just like, man, architecture is just so ugly in the modern age, man.
Yeah.
It is. And it started here in the Atlanta area, and I hate to say it, it's I guess probably started in the early 70s. It's like, the old CNN Center, which I had worked in for several decades, is closing this year.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, company is actually moving out of there, going back to the original campus on Techwood Drive, which is a beautiful campus. But people are getting out of brick and mortar. Real estate is now suffering, commercial real estate at least. So yeah, CNN Center will be no more. It's probably starting in 2024. And a lot of those buildings in the downtown Atlanta area, this started in the early 70s, and they were trying to be like, the George Jetson futuristic kind of architecture. Yeah. And it didn't date well.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I really like, good architecture, that's and when we go out to California, it's just visually stimulate, the architecture looks, a lot of that stuff is Art Deco, and
right.
It's just, I think it's sad that, it's just a box to sell stuff in. Yep. They don't care about what it, everything is, man, you see that with a lot of breweries too, like that we play. It's just like, it's like playing in a Sam's Club, it's just one big empty, hollow, hard surface everywhere, sound nightmare. It's like there's no atmosphere, there's no ambiance in this place. It's really sad what architecture has become.
So sad. Well, it's been great speaking with you too again, and this is a three-peat. So I love it.
Yeah, we didn't mean to get stray so far off of topic.
Oh, I love it. It's free form. Yeah.
Architecture.
It's like, wait, we're on to music. It's all art. Right? Well, best wishes on your tour. Hope to see you soon. Maybe I'll try to get out to that venue in Marietta.
Yeah, the Hunt House. It's a really cool place.
August 25th.
It's a really nice, it's a listening environment,
And the architecture.
Is right on.
You got to really find it here. Cool. Well, have a good one. Best wishes. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that. We're telling people not to move to the Atlanta metro area. But there's room because the Waymores want to leave. So until next time, thanks for stopping by the Corners.
From farm to your store in days, not weeks. That's 80 Acres Farms. Did you know that most salad travels over 2,000 miles to reach your plate? But not 80 Acres Farms. Their crisp salad greens and herbs are food less traveled. This means it stays fresher for longer in your fridge. My salad lasts all week long. No more food waste. Oh, and did I mention there's no need to wash this produce because 80 Acres Farms uses 0 pesticides. Visit 80acresfarms.com to learn more and find their salads and herbs at your local Kroger.